Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets Podcast Pioneer, with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and Remarkable Results.Biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. Good to have you all here. You want to become a better communicator? You know, we have a Toastmasters group because if you earn your living communicating in this incredible industry, then the virtual Remarkable Results Toastmasters is perfect for you. It's made up of aftermarket professionals looking to improve their communication, confidence, and leadership qualities. Toastmaster values the integrity, respect, service, and excellence all together. Remarkable Results.biz /Toastmasters. You can find out when we meet. And of course, I do this for a living. Carm, why would you want to be in Toastmasters? And I am. It's been a year, and I've learned a lot, and I continue to learn, and is one of the best things that I ever did in being a good communicator. And we think about a lot of the service advisors that are in our Toastmasters group in the automotive industry, and they're really, really doing well because you learn a little bit of discipline. You don't always have to open your mouth to make your point right. That's it. Hey, welcome. We're at Stark College in the Stark community here in Canton, Ohio, not too far from the Hall of Fame. And when Tracy and I knew we were going to be here, we were invited to be at a week-long seminar on electric vehicles. I've learned so much. My brain is Swiss cheese when it comes to everything that I'm learning. And since I'll never take this and use it in a bay with my hands with respect to an electric vehicle, what happens to an individual like me is I learn to respect all the information and respect what our technology specialists today need to know about the evolution of technology in the electric vehicle. So as we knew we were coming down here, Tracy and I, we said, who do we know that lives close by? And of course, we know David Justice and Corey Evaldi. David Justice from Repair Shop of Tomorrow, former shop owner, now a key vendor with NAPA as one of their key business coaches. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Great to be here, Carm, with you and Tracy.
Repair Shop of Tomorrow. Corey Evaldi's here from Olmstead Auto Care in Olmstead Falls, Ohio.
Thank you, Carm. Happy to be here as well.
Yeah, good to have you here. Former Buffalonian. I just knew his dad sold parts to the family years ago. So it's good to have you here and to see.
Small world.
Honest to God, the great success that you've had. Look, we know how important, or at least I know the person who knows of systems, operations, and procedures. When I first met you, Dave, that's all you talked about, the labor profit manager, right? LPM? Mm-hmm. Labor profit manager and systems operations and procedures. Go, and over again. And I said, now this guy gets it and this guy knows it. And if his clients would learn that, I can't imagine how successful they could be in a really short amount of time. You obviously, what a great background. Please listen to one of Dave's episodes with us. He tells us the story, dad's in business, and then you bought in, and then you start building shops, and you start growing, and then, of course, you sold. You had a great opportunity to get out. And then you said, I think I'm going to keep giving to the industry. And then, of course, you had a great relationship with NAPA and continue to have that. And there's so many great things to talk about. But thank you for being here. Corey is one of your clients. Is this stuff important? When you hooked up with Dave, what did you jump into? Gross margin management, labor, dollars, or did you jump into systems, operations, and procedures? What'd you do?
I think so. I was very skeptical, and I've told the story many of times when he walked into my store.
And you said, get out.
I basically told him, I was like, what are you doing here? And I basically told him that I heard things, and because he lives in our area, that it wasn't the greatest. And he said, he told me right then and there, and it was the best line because that's when I decided to give him a chance. He said, I bet you did. And the people that you heard that from are probably people that couldn't get it done. And I thought right there, then and there, in that split second, about all the people that told me. And I said, he's got a valid point. Wow. He's got a valid point. And so he started talking about his coaching program, and we were already with a coaching company. I said, listen, I'm going to do everything that you tell me to do because it's not going to work. He made this fallacy of how life was going to be so great and it's going to be way different and this,
wow.
That. And I knew that if I didn't follow, that they would go back and say, well, you didn't exactly do this. You didn't do that. Rightfully so, right? And I was stubborn. I'm a technician by blood. I am very set in my ways, methodical. So I had to keep an open mind. I had to do what he told me. And it was about 6 months, wouldn't you say, that I finally said, whatever this guy tells me, I'm just going to do. Like, I'm sick of putting up the fight. He's just right. And I think one of the last straws was with the marketing, because I think that's where we started, was with the marketing.
But think about Dave. He was willing to believe in you, not give up, but believe in you.
Well, Corey is a taskmaster. So when we gave it to him, there's education, communication, and implementation. He implemented like nobody's business. So what Corey won't tell you is through those 6 months, how many phone calls I got where he'd say, I need more. What else do you got? Let's go.
Oh, absolutely.
So everybody learns at their own pace. It's not one cookie cutter program. Some people will accept it sooner than later, and then they're ready to go to the next step, and the next step.
How does a coach find the strengths in the client? And because you say it's not cookie cutter, so we're going to go here, we're going to go there, depending on what he's willing to receive from us and then implement. Because not everybody wants to play in the P&L or wants to play in the HR side, wants to play in the margin side.
So for me, the system operation and procedures is foundational in anybody's business. I mean, I always use the McDonald's theory, right? If you can get a 15 or 16-year-old young man or young lady to go ahead and create the exact same cheeseburger, whether it's in Buffalo or Cleveland, Ohio, it may not be a good cheeseburger, but it's exactly the same. Yeah. And we definitely want to bring that foundation of SOPs of exactly with our team members of exactly what we call what right looks like, exactly how we're going to go down from system to system, whether it be from CSR to service advisor to technician, inspection, what have you. We want to have written processes.
Okay, so what right looks like, Corey, you were hearing that. They were guiding you. Did you ever look at that stuff and says, that's not right to me?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the way that our shop flow, the way that we were doing it was basically put together out of my head, right? What I thought.
Yeah. You had no formal training?
No, I was a technician. Yeah. And through the arrangement that I had with the former business owner that I took over, it was like learning on the fly.
But how much was it you that had to change and accept the guidance?
From Dave?
Yeah.
It was all me. I had to.
Did you see that he was going to be a really tough learn or teach?
Right at first, I knew it was going to be fun. But
oh, wow.
I'm definitely up for the challenge, but I knew this.
Are you a politician?
No. But I knew this absolutely for sure, is if he would follow the system operation procedures, we'd get the results.
Yeah. And you had to accept that. I mean, it's always self. The man in the mirror needs to get out of the way.
Like I said, I was very prideful, maybe a little bit of egotistic, but I was dead honest when I said, I'm going to do everything that you tell me I'm going to do. I'm going to do it because I'm going to prove to you that it does not work.
Oh, wow.
And that was our first meeting.
And that was your juice, Dave.
Well, now it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Now it's a challenge. So
yes, it came like a tidal wave with some of the stuff. And I'm like, this isn't going to work, but this is what he's telling me to do. I'm going to do it. I told him I would. And we got busy. We started, our numbers started improving. And, even though I was still kind of struggling with it, I eventually succumbed and just said, you know what? He's telling me all good things. Like everything that he told me would happen, the challenges that would happen from the changes that I'd make all came true. The community, the team members, the business. It was weird because he said, you're going to get busier, but you're going to slow down. And that's an oxymoron. But it happens.
You refuse to believe it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense when you hear it.
It's going to kill my business.
It makes zero sense.
Yeah.
And this was later on, not necessarily right away, but later on when I said, I pretty much just worked myself out of a job. What do I do? And then that was the worst because you get a whole nother set of responsibilities as a business owner and you're just like, okay, well, I guess now this is what I got to work on.
So isn't that truly what you talk about when you want to work on the business and not in the business?
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you said we're going to slow down, what was that exact quote? We're going
to get busier, but we're going to slow down.
We're going to get busier, but slow down. And the first word I put together with that statement was methodical.
Absolutely. The biggest thing is working with a purpose, right? How many of us run around with a chicken without a head in our day-to-day, right? But if you're methodical, you've got a plan of attack, you know your schedule, you know what's coming in, you've got your team, you've got your SOPs in place, you do your inspections by noon, you get to the customers by 2:00, you get the parts staged for the technicians, you get the technicians their alone time, let them do what they do best. They can produce the hours, no big deal, as long as we keep the distractions out of them. Let them do what they love to do, what they're
keep
passionate
that
about.
momentum going in the afternoon.
So when you keep hearing the pounding on the table, if you're listening through audio, that's Corey passionately knocking on this in this training center here in Canton at the NAPA EV Training Center. And if you're watching on video, then you know exactly the passion that he has. Let's go back to, I don't know if you remember this, Dave. You're telling this story to friends. You're hanging out with them and says, I remember the first thing that I had to do that I felt uncomfortable. Do you remember it at all?
Yes.
The first thing you said, I'm going to do it even though I don't agree. Ooh.
It was getting on with LPM.
Okay.
Because here's the way that I perceived it is that, and I perceived it all wrong, that I was going to start micromanaging everybody by their numbers. But in reality, and at first maybe that was the general feeling, but what it turned into was friendly competition. It turned into an accountability factor. It turned into a way to celebrate, right? Because
Success.
we don't necessarily post our numbers. We never did before. We do now all the time. Every day we have a morning meeting. We've got all of our numbers, everybody on a dry erase board. It's turned into such a positive thing that I thought was going to be very negative. But it was because of my mindset about it and the way that to present it to the technician on why we do it and the service advisor, why it makes sense, why we need to look at these numbers and keep track of them. Everybody here can make more money. We could service more people. We could help more customers, more clients.
Did you lose anybody during this evolution?
There was a little bit of turnover. It wasn't a whole lot. And to Dave's point, when I first met him, it was folks that couldn't get it done, change inertia, people that didn't necessarily like change. However, there's still folks that are with me to this day. And I remember when I talked to the team when we first started and I said, I want to do this for the benefit of everybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense that it just benefits the shop.
Yeah.
It has to be a win for everybody. It has to be a win for the employees. It has to be a win for our customers. It has to be a win for the shop.
It's a huge takeaway.
So one of the things I always talked about is with my folks, my team members, excellence should be rewarded. And if we have these standards and you can fix the car right the first time and we can exceed these standards of hours billed, why should you not share in those profits?
Mm-hmm. LPM, Labor Profit Management. Yes. A little bit about that. And you have this very unique tool that you created a long time ago, and its legacy inside of RSOT. Tell our listener a little bit about how you use it.
So LPM, my folks, they punch in every day, in for the day, when they're in the shop, out for lunch, so on and so forth, just like a normal time clock and any other 9-to-5 job, right? Yeah. But then they can punch in and out on every car that they're working on. We not only have clock time, but we have their actual work time. And then it integrates with our database to pull the billable hours or the flat rate hours, flag hours, whatever the terminology that you're using. We use billable hours. And there's certain statistics. So there's productivity. That's the difference between clock hours and billed. Mm-hmm. There's proficiency, the difference between clock hours and the amount that you're on the car. And then there's efficiency, which is the amount that you're on the car versus how much is being billed. And each one of those has a different goal, okay? Because we know that if you're clocked in for 40 hours a week, you're probably not working on cars for 40 hours, right? There's going to be times when you're on the tool truck,
and you don't realize it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But we can track that, and we can help show and minimize that stuff, like how much that affects it. And then efficiency, for the time that you're actually working on the car, how fast are you doing that? So that job bills for 2 hours. and you're getting it done in an hour and a half, you actually have a really good efficiency rating. But maybe your productivity rating is down because maybe I'm not giving you enough work. Maybe I don't have enough cars coming in. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's an individual, a technician, or a server. It's a full circle thing. When you really understand, and Dave calls it the business flow chart, when you really understand how to dissect it, you can determine where the issues are in your business, where the holes are.
So if you don't overly consume yourself with productivity, proficiency, and efficiency, you're going to run a better company because you can't make all of those perfect, can you?
So it's about decision making. So the SOPs, figuring out what makes the most sense for each one of those KPIs, how to plan your workflow. A general manager, a lead advisor, whoever does the dispatching for your shop, sometimes it's a lead tech, whatever, they make a lot of decisions throughout the day-to-day. And imagine if those decisions were just made a little bit simpler, a little bit more black and white.
The way I would always say it is we wanted our advisors, managers, or whatever to stay in front of our technicians. They need to manage their day because we only have 8 hours to produce billable labor.
Yeah.
Okay? And then labor's obviously our largest opportunity of profit, but other than employee theft, it's also the largest opportunity at loss, payroll.
Yeah.
And look at productivity. When you're very productive, you still have your fixed costs, right? So if my guys are very productive and they don't spend any more time in the building, how much more money can I create through that labor side?
So when you look at the numbers, is it the individual technician, technology specialist, mechanical specialist that cares about their number? Is it the dispatch, the person who's managing your workflow? Is it our service advisors? Or is it this entire group
I was just going to say
that looks
it's the entire
team.
and it's the team, and they say, oh my God, look at this. They had something to do with success.
Yeah.
They also had something to do with not great
And
success.
You build in incentives in all of those KPIs, not just for the techs, but the service advisor, the general manager, for the whole team. So then it's everybody helping one another.
So is there
helping the customer?
Are there individual incentives or is there a group incentive at the end of the month?
There's both.
We would have both.
You can do, however your company culture is set up. We do individuals and group.
Okay. So you're looking at this thing and Dave tells you back in the day, hey, we're also going to give incentives. And you say, what? I'm not making enough money to do that. And then Dave says, don't worry.
Just follow the process and we will get there sooner than later. And once you really start looking at your productivity, you'll be amazed at what happens to your net.
Yeah. There's so much. One of our incentives that we had just done, and my team had hit it. We did a promotion through February and March, right? Called Breaks for Kids. And my team hit their goal with it. And their reward, the incentive was to have July 5th off because it's a Friday. 4th of July is on a Thursday. So, hey guys, if we do really good, we're going to give another 4-day weekend throughout the year.
How'd they do?
They crushed it.
Ain't that cool? That really is.
And that's what matters to the team.
By the way,
but I'm transparent. I build these. I said, this is what it's going to take to cover that lost day. And if we can do this, that lost day is going to be bought and paid for, and we can enjoy a long weekend with our families.
Okay, so let's talk about that. You just said they crushed it because we gave them an extra day off. Think about closing down and going to training.
Yeah.
And people saying, I can't not be here. We have to be here. It's a revenue issue. And every single shop owner that I've met at conferences that says, hey, I'd like you to meet my team. Did you close? Yes. Our first time, second, third time here. And then I always double check with the owner. So did you lose a lot of revenue? He goes, absolutely not. In fact, we made it up. They were so excited. They came back. They applied what they learned. They were energetic. We recovered.
How can you not afford to do it?
Yes. The trend in our industry is moving, I know, to this continuous educational, I call it being a perpetual student, but not fast enough. In my opinion, people are stuck like you were 5 or 6 years ago in a bad place and they don't know how to get out of it. And you figured it out. But it was Coach Dave who dragged you through the mud?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So We have a BDG program that has 6 modules.
Let me explain what Business Development Group, BDG, for our listener, that's a NAPA organized group out of their distribution centers, right?
Sure.
And I go to them, and there's just great shop operators that get together, talk business, and participate in a lot of NAPA programs.
So the BDG programs we created are 6 modules just on system operation and procedure. And how it's designed is that it's peer-to-peer training. So it's a video, so on and so forth, and then we give them an agenda. They go down and they train together. Why this is so important is because, listen, I have a coaching company. I think there's many fantastic coaching companies out there. I believe everybody should have a coach. Yeah. But with that said, some people are not prepared yet to go to that next level. But we can work with them, train with them in these modules to give them the system operation and procedures. And if you're a gentleman like Corey that is an implementer and really, really is energized to fix his business, to make it better, there's all the information, the education to be able to do it.
Hey, it's no secret. We're facing a technician shortage, and NAPA AutoCare has a solution with the NAPA AutoCare Apprentice Program. The program was pioneered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and Master Technician Jake Sorensen from McNeil's AutoCare in Sandy, Utah, realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought after these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The NAPA AutoCare Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, and they are classroom training videos exclusive to the apprentice program. Now, these videos provide in-depth training from a successful master technician. Also, Autotech classes with instructor-led courses offered through NAPA Autotech and Autotech e-learning. This web-based e-learning is designed to target specific training topics. And finally, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos, Autotech instructor-led training, and Autotech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Look, having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. And in most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you'll begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. One of the largest barriers to entry for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Now, keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. Now, NAPA AutoCare has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool cart for all registered apprentices. Hey, to learn more, members can visit member.NAPAAutocare.com. I have an analogy for you.
Sure.
Again, why I love what I do, I'm listening to stuff and my brain starts to fire. And I was in this Tri-County BDG when your company presented maybe a month ago up in the New York area, and it was a great presentation. And then the BDG group decided to vote on the fact that should we get the BDG from RSOT, this year-long program. And as you were describing it just now, I thought of night school. Think about that. How many times do I, as an owner looking in the mirror, I don't care what kind of business you have, but I'd like to get out to one of the local high schools, maybe even to a college, and participate in a little mini 6-week something course on helping me be a better accountant, something. This is night school for these people.
Absolutely. And for me, when in my business career, how I got better was peer-to-peer learning. Because what it allowed us to do is, first, it's fundamental. We need to learn those fundamental SOPs. But the next thing was I would utilize how someone else would interpret that, and I would become a fast follower, which means I want to figure out exactly what he's doing in his business that makes sense, and I want to implement it into mine as soon as possible. with the fundamentals of the system operation and procedures.
I love the word fast follower, because that probably happened to you, Corey.
Oh, yeah.
Once you got, if you will, you tasted this great 4-year-old bottle of Napa Cab, and you said, oh my God, this is good. I'm going to drink the whole thing.
Right.
No one can share this with me.
Little must be good, or little is good, more must be better.
I love that.
Well, with that said, the NAPA program, obviously, I believe in it thoroughly.
Yeah.
And it truly works with all the great vendors that they have. We also are part of what we call Power of Partnership, where we basically put the NAPA program together for our NAPA Auto Care dealers. And then if you're a repair shop, a Tomorrow client, we actually help you implement them.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the growth that clients gain once they follow processes and then they implement the correct programs. That's when you get busier and things start to slow down.
You talk about systems, operations, and procedures, and people hear that, and then they hear you say the words SOP. And all of us grew up knowing that SOP were standard operating procedures, but Dave changed the word standards to systems. I'm kind of breaking the code for you if you're listening to what Dave keeps talking about SOPs. And frankly, it's brilliant to take the word standards out of it, because whose standards? Actually, it's systematic to the company.
For sure.
And when you start working with me, do you do a total review of what they have for systems, operations, and procedures? And to me, it seems like it would be a heavy lift to figure out what the procedures in our place is and what systems do we have and how do they work to make all of it work.
We do that in our initial interview with our client.
All right.
There's a whole client page.
Yeah.
Multiple pages that they fill out, Corey, if you want to.
Oh, it's called a playbook.
Yep.
So it's basically, what are they using? What are they not using? That's the most powerful. And so out of the NAPA programs, everything that's available, and they have options to put in the stuff that's not, NAPA programs, because, people go off kilter. What we can dissect from that, and we can get a general idea just from that of how their business is running. And then through the conversations, through the calls, we can kind of narrow it down and kind of give them a guidance towards a program if they so need it. Actually, I just had some of my coaching calls yesterday, and I've been coaching this client for a little while, and he goes, what do you think about me switching over to Kakui? I had a plethora of information from him,
Sure,
or for him. And, so now he's navigating that step and that decision, but we're there to help him make that decision.
So if I can, one of the things Corey talked about is what they're not using. So what it allows us to see is the holes in the bucket. Maybe somebody doesn't have a website, as he just talked about. Yeah. Maybe somebody doesn't have CRM. Maybe they don't use social media. Whatever it may be, this is where we can have those conversations to understand their business.
And in the NAPA toolkit, you've got all those solutions ready for
we put it right together for them.
With other vendors in the partner program. Yeah,
correct.
You just broke the code by saying, in my coaching calls, so apparently it didn't take long to hook this guy to be a part-time coach for you.
No, he's an amazing individual, first of all. And I would tell you, I think Corey looks like what our industry needs to be. Young, energized, very smart, and as you said, a lifelong learner and aggressive and implements.
You mean us gray-haired guys are out?
I know I'm out.
You are working your butt off to be out. Yeah. I know that. Because anybody I talk to at RSOT, it's never about Dave. It's always about someone else.
Well,
and I says, he's delegated so well.
That's how leaders do, right? We got to make other leaders.
I know. Great stuff. Systems, operations, procedures. It's your biggest thing at RSOT. And it really ultimately makes a huge difference. Let's talk about hiring and firing. Let's talk about the problem that we have. Hey, how's business? Business is, right now, as of this recording, not so good. Next question. Any problems finding great people? And the other question, business not so good, can't find great people. What are you doing to recruit and retain?
Right.
So let's go down this pathway just a little bit.
So I'll talk just about the industry in general.
Yeah.
I guess the free ride of COVID is over with.
It's over.
Well, everybody had more cars than they knew what to do with.
Yeah.
Well, now car count's becoming flat in most areas. I think the reality of, not having free money out there, the election. One gentleman is a felon, the next they're trying to impeach, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of outside things in the world.
Yeah, it's ugly.
From our standpoint, we really need to be better with what we have. And what I mean is the system operation procedures of every vehicle has to be the most important vehicle.
So when I think about the challenge that we have with the economic challenges, the fact that the money isn't as prevalent and no one is just dropping their keys and saying, who cares, fix it. You're a hell of an operator. You're a coach in the industry. You've been through the RSOT program. You see and sense that it's not there, but you're confident in your profitability. You're confident to grow it. The thing is that if you're feeling pain, my listener, if you're feeling pain, you probably should have been into coaching for even in the heyday. So because we knew it wasn't going to last, Dave. You and I have been through cycles.
No question
Economic
about it.
cycles.
Look at 08.
Yeah, it's not going to last. People can't buy houses. It's terrible out there, but we're having to pay for things, and it's affecting what we do. Yet the vehicle has to be, they're maybe not driving as much as they used to, but the vehicle has to be there, safe and reliable. Mm-hmm. But people are only getting the minimums done. Talk to me. What do you see?
Actually, in what I've seen lately, the past month, we've had a little bit of an uptick compared to the previous couple of months where it has been a little bit soft.
Okay.
The thing about it is to keep following the process. Trying not to deviate because we start to lead by emotions. We start to make decisions based off of things that aren't even true. So that's, if you can stick to what works and you stick to your marketing strategy, you stick to your operating strategy, things will come around. Like you said, the market fluctuates. So if you're going to change things on a downward market, what happens when it comes back? You're still going to be down. Remember the technician that when he's slow, all right, and this is aggravating to me, but when you're slow, that brake job goes from taking 1 hour to 4 hours, right? The very next week, business starts picking up. You got more cars, but you can't get them out because we're stuck in that rut.
Yeah.
And on the sales side, from our advisors, we truly need to be the advisors for that client and really share the why it makes sense to go ahead and spend that money on that vehicle. Mm-hmm. The value, okay, the warranty, the relationship, all of the above to be the best advocate for that client with that vehicle.
Well, what about the financial sense that it makes? Because,
Sure.
You know, when the economy is tight, yes, monies are slim. But no matter how you crunch the numbers, it always makes more sense to invest in the vehicle that you currently have than it does to go out and get another one.
But you got to really be smart in talking to the client about that.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, 100%. It's a delicate subject.
Please tell me why I should spend $2,500 on this vehicle. Remind me what they cost today. Remind me what my car payment is going to be.
The other thing that I see with clients is that from COVID, I have more cars than I know what to do with. Some of the advisors got transactional. Mm-hmm, Here's what it costs. You want me to do it? I got 10 cars behind.
Next.
No, we are in a hospitality business. We need to take care of that client and build relationships.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
Wow. Are you going to go to the NOW conference, Corey?
I am.
What's going on with that?
Wow, it's going to be fantastic. NAPA's going to invite 2,000 people to Las Vegas. It's going to be more of a training seminar from what I understand, really about and for the dealer. I don't think there's going to be quite as many tools being sold. I think it's going to be more about learning what's going to happen and come from the industry, what we can look forward to. I think NAPA is going to speak to exactly the state of the industry, where it's going to go, and how we can prosper by utilizing their programs.
It's a college course for
Absolutely.
their. Think about that. Mm-hmm. I've had a chance to see some of the background of it. Dave, of course, you've seen a lot more than I have. And it's exciting to see a shift in how NAPA is working closely with their auto care centers.
Absolutely. And the thing that I look at, and I talk to my clients, is, look, the world around us is changing. We have to figure out how to adapt and be able to prosper in that world.
Yeah, there's
so we got to see what's coming in, trends.
No doubt that you come back from the NOW conference and you're listening to me. Even what if the person isn't a NAPA Auto Care? Could someone from the outside go to?
I'm going to defer that to maybe Jason Rainey or one of the auto care teams.
So
I don't have that
So if you're
answer.
listening to me and you want to go to this very, and I call it intimate because it's not going to be 10,000 people. It's going to be a small little group. Maybe just got to become a NAPA Auto Care Center and go.
Well, absolutely. And the next thing is I think you're going to find the best of the best there.
Yeah.
Are going to be there, excuse me.
And
so don't miss out. Be one of those folks.
And now let's talk about the power of that as a networking meeting.
Peer-to-peer learning.
Peer-to-peer learning, recharging the batteries. How often do we feel like we're on an island? I don't care if you're the service advisor, a technician, manager, shop owner. There's so many times when you feel like you're just by yourself. Yeah. Nobody knows the stresses that you're enduring on day to day. Well, you go to these events and you start talking to, you know what? There's a lot more people on this island. It's a lot more populated. And then you start hearing different ideas and
you become a fast follower.
Exactly. The thoughts are flowing.
Yeah, Corey was just like me once. How can I grow up to be like Corey now?
Well, I reinvent the wheel when you can go in with the best of the best, hear the training, be in the hallways discussing that training with other peers, find out what quality individuals are utilizing, and why not implement that in your business as fast as you can?
Wow. I mean, I've learned a lot here today. Thank you for sharing all of this. I'm so passionate about taking the struggling shop owner and letting them say, which podcast was it really that you listened to and it catapulted you to make change in your life and in your business? And I'm hoping that this is one of them. We've done so many like this by having some people come on and telling their story, even like you did when you first came on, Corey, a while back, just you and I. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Corey pre-SOT. And what does it really take for someone to flip that switch? Maybe you can tell someone, I know you're struggling. I know you're looking in the mirror. You're frustrated. You think you're making what you're not making. You have no cash. You can't pay your parts bill. You can't pay anything. What's the switch? Because there's 10,000 out there that are suffering in that. What's the switch?
Well, I hate to say it, but it's where you come to, where you feel you're almost at rock bottom. I know for me, I worked my rear end off for 25 years. And I just thought I could run through that wall. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work longer than everybody else. And one day I woke up and said, this isn't going to work long term. What do I need to do to refine my business so that I can have some family time? Because I have 5 kids. I need to have some family time. And I went to a seminar and I realized system, operation, and procedure will set you free. And I started fundamentally getting as much education as I could, going to every seminar I could. And quite frankly, what would I do? I'd want to listen, swipe and deploy, and then be a fast follower. Implement it in my business as fast as I could.
That was just a profession of faith from the Church of Dave Justice.
Thanks, Carm.
Really? How about you? Tell a shop owner.
For me, and I think this was the podcast that you and I had a while ago, was when I hit the brick wall, was I was working.
That's what we called it.
Yeah.
That's the episode. That was the title of the episode. Okay, great.
I was working on a Sunday. Shop was closed.
Of course.
Right? But I was there because I had to be there. I had to finish up a car, and I was programming a 2006 Dodge Charger. I'll
never forget that, huh?
Yeah. I mean, because you're doing it on a Sunday. And my wife had called me, and she was crying.
And you lied to her.
No, I kind of figured what was going on, so I'd run home. There she was. We found out that she's pregnant, and we had been trying for some time.
Oh, great.
So, and at that point, I was like, how am I going to be a dad if I'm working on weekends and I'm working 7 days a week? Because my wife she's an RN. She would work second shift. So I'd go into work at 5 a.m. I would meet with her when she got off of work at about 11, and we'd go to Taco Bell or something. We'd eat dinner together and then go home and do it all over. So we were together very little. I was always gone on the weekends. And I just said, this isn't going to work. Like, I can work hard, long hours and make it through. But at some point, I didn't want to just make it through.
I think the Taco Bell for dinner is the key here.
And Corey, how many hours do you spend in your store today?
Very little, 4 a week, maybe. I'm working there all day tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah. 8 hours this week.
Give him a demerit.
I'm honest to gosh.
This is great. Any final words? By the way, we're at the NAPA EV Ready Training Center, and I have been so impressed. Is it our third day, beginning of our third day, and I have learned and seen and touched so many things that are out of my realm, but makes me respectful for what we need to know.
For sure. And I think Corey I know Corey came and went through the program, so maybe you could speak to what you...
from a shop owner's perspective.
Yeah.
Perfect. Shop owners, you went through this. What do we need to tell the rest of the world they've got to do?
This is real world training. All right. People have asked me about this before, and I'm like, you don't understand how real world this was.
Yeah.
And they go, what do you mean? I said, when I was there, they had me working on a Tesla, and I broke it. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I broke the part that we were trying to replace. And I said, you know what? It was even better. We had to source that part. We had to figure out where we were going to find it from. Then we had to get that part and we had to put it on. What other training is going to do that?
That's as real world
as it gets. That's as real world as it gets. We did services that you're going to see in today's world, like coolant exchanges, air conditioning servicing. Believe it or not, Tesla does have a form of an oil change. They even have a filter.
We're in the classroom here, set up with our studio. Lots of, if you will, theory that comes up in pictures. And then they take what they learn in the morning and they go into the shop and they're in these cars and they're touching the real parts and they're seeing the relays. They're learning a lot about protection and safety with the, PPE, personal protective gear. And I have seen an incredibly engaged student body here. They're in it deep. They're talking amongst each other. They're sharing some of their stories. And it is the future. Don't discount the fact that you started to learn about running a better business and you evolved with it.
Right.
Because you knew that one day you had to be on top of your world in being a great leader and business manager. From a technology perspective and working on EVs, I'll do tires. Maybe I'll do some front end. It is so much more than that. When you come here and you realize that some of these cars come out of warranty, we need to be able to raise our hand to our clients and tell them, we are your hybrid EV specialist. And if, just like when 1234YF came up, and if, okay, Corey's smiling. You buy the machine, you become the go-to person in your area. I've got some space. I want to be a calibration center. You buy, you invest, you become the first.
And it is.
Yes, that's what I mean. So here I am with EVs as a specialty, but you can't do it unless you get into the deep end of the pool and learn it.
Absolutely. You got to learn. And the reason why I laugh is because when all this new technology comes out, when the 1234YF, when ADAS, when fuel injection, when HEI.
My.
I was going to say it was HEI for me.
There were so many people that, got so worried and thought, this was going to be the end. And it's like, this stuff is actually a lot more simple than what our minds tend to want to believe. And, when you go through this training and you get taught a lot of this stuff and you do, theoretical and hands-on, and you're drawing the map in your head and you're like, it's a big alternator and I could service that. There's so much that it's like, hey, this is not the end of the automotive industry. This is just another stage of it. It's being prepared, right? I actually went out and got my ASC, the L3.
L3, yeah.
Well, I say
good for you.
What you said about being prepared, it's being prepared to service what my client looks like today.
That's right. And they buy an electric, they have a hybrid, and you've normally been fixing their Chevy or Ford.
Right.
They just can't go out and consider the dealer anymore.
Well, it's even some of our advantage that we don't point out to our clients or the servicing customers that we have is that we work on all of your household vehicles. We don't have to go to 5 different locations because you drive a Jeep, your wife's got a Tesla, your son's got a Mercedes, a BMW. No, you bring them all to us. We know the history of all of your vehicles. It's one-stop shop.
I was talking to Matt this morning. Matt Funzel's down here with us, and he's saying if you stop and look at your average repair order on a Mercedes versus, say, a Ford, and you say, wow, that Mercedes is a little higher. Why aren't we talking about us being a Mercedes specialist since we have someone who is, since they're a higher ticket item? And why would we want to send a client that's doing all makes and all models? Bring your toasters, bring your blenders, bring them to, we'll do all your appliances, that we would walk away from that. And that goes back to a great coach in the analytics that you probably. It's all
about data.
See? Yeah, exactly.
It's all about data.
What do we do with all this data? And where's the Dave Justice AI program going to come in one day that you're probably already creating and say, ooh, brrr, and boom, it says we need to be here, we need to be there.
Soon with the advisor.
See, how did I know? How did I not know? This was great. Had a blast. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Dave Justice, Corey Evaldi. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.